Wow. So what a finish for that game. Welcome back to another episode of Not For Long Media. I am your host, Colin Thompson. We're episode 21, the best of. So the best of from episode 11 until now. We are going to display a little bit from every episode and pass along to you. We have a lot of new listeners. We're so excited to have you. And a part of that is it gives us some time to obtain some more interviews, which I have a ton this week that I'm really excited about, but also allows everyone to catch up and do some listening. So speaking of catching up, we have a lot to catch up on. Euro Cup, McGregor fight, Tampa Bay Lightning win the Super Bowl, Copa Cup. But most importantly, tonight we have Justin Ayers and a new guest, Esty. What's going on, man?
I'm just happy for being here. This is my first time, and I'm just excited to talk all the things that happened throughout this weekend. So I'm just happy to be here and to start discussing with you two guys all the things that happened.
All right, so Esty, where are you currently located?
So I'm in Mexico City right now. I'm here back in my parents' home. So I'm here just for the summer.
Awesome. And Esty is just like our whole team. Everyone does a little bit of everything. Esty's behind some of the social media. He's behind some of the content. He's now a part of some of what we're doing with obviously what you're listening to right now. And then the man himself, the co-host, he's becoming a fan favorite. He doesn't even know it yet, but I'm getting many of compliments for having him a part of our team here at Not For Long Media. Justin Ayers, how you doing, buddy?
Wow, that warms my heart. Just, everything that we're doing here, it's all not for naught. But yeah, no, we had to bring in the ringer for the soccer talk today, a little talking soccer. So I'm glad our guy Esty is here to help us break down some Euro Cup.
We are jacked. All transparency, Esty played soccer at Temple, and he joined us not too long ago. And we've been really excited to have him. He's doing a great job. So Euro Cup 2020, obviously it's not 2021. It's a rematch, or I guess not a rematch, but they're bringing it back because it didn't happen last year for obvious reasons. So it's the Euro Cup 2020. For those that don't know, it's the Continental Championship for Europe. Pretty straightforward. Italy played England in the final. Italy had to go through Turkey, Switzerland, Wales, Austria, Belgium, Spain, and PKs to make it. And then England had to go through Croatia, draw with Scotland, Czech Republic, Germany, Ukraine, and then Denmark to make it. So pretty entertaining stuff. We're going to go right to SD. They won in PKs, which you said before is your favorite before you got on here. And it was incredible. One of the youngest players in international history for England had the game on his foot, and the keeper made a ridiculous save for Italy. A bunch of ridiculous saves in the PKs. What are your initial reactions, Esty?
I think that the common thing to say when pickings come on are that most people say that it's a toss, but I would say it's more a mental side. As you mentioned, this guy was the youngest player in the England squad. The second youngest player in the England squad, and he had everything in his hands. So I would say that just being there in the PK and have the courage to take that last and decisive PK, I think takes a lot of guts. And this guy was there, and he could say that he missed it instead of just being one of those guys that didn't take the PKs. But I think England. I don't want to say they didn't deserve it, but just the way they were playing, I think it was more fun to watch Italy than England throughout this entire tournament. They were, I think, a little bit more effective in the way they play the games. They were a little bit more. I don't want to say safety, but they didn't take those risks as much as Italy. So I think it's a well-deserved win for Italy. I think that throughout the entire tournament, it was the best team that we watch. It was a most fun team to watch, so that's why I think it's a good way to finish this tournament.
Esty, when it comes to PKs, do you have any experience or special moments for you in your career?
I would say that I was just talking with my friends because I have some friends that came over to my home. We were grilling using our last episode. Some tips from Malcolm Reed. We were grilling some meat, and we were talking about that and how important it is. Not the PK itself, but just the walk through to the PK, that you are halfway in the field, and then you're just walking by yourself with the ball in your hands, without knowing actually where are you going to kick it or what would be the keeper's reaction. But for me, the most difficult part of it is when the keeper touches the crossbar before you shoot. That I think that changed the whole scenery. because the whole goal just starts to crumble a little bit, the netting behind. So it for me it was just hard to maintain focus when the keeper used to do that. But I was always like taking the PK to the same spot to my left. So every time that I was there, I knew that I was kicking the ball to the same side. But yeah, it's hard. And then you miss the chance, and you see it so easy from the outside. So I don't know. It's a whole experience, just the PKs, that I think most people that are just watching didn't understand, like all the things that go through your mind, and then the outcome that it's just hard pill to swallow if you miss that decisive PK.
No doubt. No doubt. I've got to know a couple of field goal kickers throughout the years. Obviously, a little bit different situation because, a lot of different things, but I digress. Justin, some things that stood out to me when it comes to this, the overall ambiance of the entire thing. The goalkeepers are hugging before, the captains are hugging before. It's in Wimbledon, so it's in England, right? It's Euro Cup. It was just fantastic. I thought I listened to a couple of podcasts today out on a walk this morning, just trying to learn a few things, but there's a lot of respect for these two countries, and a lot of respect for the game of football, a lot of respect for each other, tons of history when it comes to championships. I think this was their 18th time playing international play. Did anything stick out to you, Justin, watching today's game?
Yeah, just like the overall, like the crowd was super into it. I didn't know it was in England. I had a feeling it was, but as kind of an outsider to soccer, maybe SG can help us kind of put some of this into perspective. Like England, I don't think is, very dominant in the world stage when it comes to soccer, even though they're like the country that like they claim to have like founded modern football or something like that. But I'm wondering, Esti, can you help me put this into perspective, like this loss and what this means for England in terms of their soccer?
I think it's huge. It's funny that you guys both mentioned the history part of this, because, well, I don't know if you guys heard, but England supporters were singing throughout the entire tournament. It's coming home.
It's coming
and
home.
They claim that they invented the modern football, even though the only major tournament they won was 55 years ago in 1966. It was a World Cup against Germany, and there was like a lot of controversy back then, because they also went to extra times, and there was like a ghost goal scored in the game, and that gave England the lead in the game. They end up winning 4-2, and that's the only international major tournament they've won. And since then, they haven't won anything, and this is the first time in since then that they were in a final for an international tournament. So it's that thing that you were saying, that they were cocky enough, and then if they would have won this game and the whole tournament, just England fans would have been just hard to talk to them. You know how British people is. So even though I was happy that they had this chance, I'm also happy that Italy had it, because I don't want to say that they don't deserve it, because Premier League is the best international league. There's like soccer league around the world. There's no doubt about it. But when it comes to international tournaments, it's so many other things that come into play that I just think that this England team didn't have, and that's why I wasn't happy with the tournament coming home, as England supporters were saying.
Well, talk about coming home, more towards where you're at right now, the Copa Cup.
Yeah,
pretty crazy. Let's see here, Copa Cup, South American Football Championship. Pretty self-explanatory for those that don't know. Is it a little bit quieter, SD? A little bit less international than the Euro Cup? I feel like a lot of people follow European soccer as much. I mean, excuse me, they follow a ton of European soccer, but I didn't hear a lot of noise around the Copa Cup.
So there was a lot of things going on with this cup at the beginning of this cup, because I think initially it was going to be played in Colombia, but then with the whole COVID restrictions, it changed, I think, to Argentina, and then it ended up being in Brazil. So there was a lot of teams that didn't want to play the tournament. Then if you were watching the games, you could have seen that the logistic part of it and the organization wasn't prepared to hold such a big tournament as this, because even the fields were terrible. And I think the biggest comparison was that in the morning you had the Euro games, and then in the afternoon you have the Copa America games. So the level between one another was completely different. The thing that has always come to mind when you talk about Copa America is more about individual players, that we saw yesterday with Neymar and Messi, that are arguably two of the best players in the whole world. But then you have the Euros, and it's more like a collective thing. The overall quality of the players is way better. So that's why more people were watching the Euros than the Copa America. But then yesterday you have also, we were talking about history here. You also had the history of this major tournament and two of the biggest rivalries in international football with soccer, as you Americans said. Sorry,
That's good.
I just changed a little bit there. But with Argentina and Brazil, that are internationally two of the best teams, and then having Messi, who lost 4 of his major finals with Argentina and never won anything with Argentina until yesterday. So I think that changed a lot. Also, the narrative towards Messi being one of the best players in history of this sport, because he has now proclaimed himself giving something to Argentina back, and not only being a Barcelona player, but also comparing a little bit with Maradona. That's also always being the hardest thing for him. So I was also happy for seeing him yesterday playing the final and winning after so many years of just failures and losing finals with Argentina.
Yeah, huge win for one of, if not the greatest soccer player, football player of all time. And you talked about logistics. I want to talk about our friends at Wealth Advisory Services, Paul, Dave, Doylestown, Bucks County, town I grew up in. I've known them now for decades. They're friends of my family, and to be able to work with them on a personal level and talk finance, talk about planning, talk about retirement, talk about with what's next, with what's going on in this crazy world we're living in right now, especially financially. WealthAdvisoryServices.com. Check them out. Do a great job with their social media. Love their email newsletter they send out. Retirement, like I said, planning, 401k. If you don't know them, you should. Paul and Dave, Wealth Advisory Services. Check them out. Tell them we sent them. Also, our friends at the original Fudge Kitchen. Talk about logistics. I was in there today. I got to see how they make the fudge. We got to scrub the pans they put the fudge in. We got to see the true back house of this place. And it was cool for me because they were showing us the orders that our fans of Not For Long Media were making. So that was really unique. I was in the warehouse and they're like, this is going out to people that ordered your fudge. I guess they wrote a little note in, we heard on the podcast, and we're going to order fudge, and they're shipping it across the country. So they ship it across the country. It was tremendous. Like literally they made it fresh, chopped it, put it into the boxes, and then placed it into the box for the person from Not For Long Media who bought it. So that was a really cool moment for me. And then to be able to clean the pans and get involved and learn more about the business, first class, 50 years of business. Check them out, fudgekitchens.com. They ship across the country. Thanks for having me today, guys. It was really cool. So Copa Cup, awesome. Euro Cup, awesome. How about the Stanley Cup? That's where my heart is. Justin and I watched probably a little bit more of that than our boy Esty. I'm assuming, Esty, is that true?
Yeah. To be honest, on hockey, I don't have as many. I'm not as well versed as I'm in soccer and in hockey. So I'll let you guys talk about it.
All right, Esty. Well, listen, in next winter, when we're all back here in the Northeast to some extent, we'll do a hockey game, maybe a Flyers Capitals game, Justin. We'll get our Not For Long Media passes on. We'll go in and pretend like media members for a little bit and have a couple of beers and watch hockey. So the Lightning win in game 5, a nice 1-0, not 1-0, Esty, 1-0 win over the Montreal Canadiens, stumping them, which was an unreal just series for the Canadians, unreal playoffs by the Canadians to make it there, especially with the restrictions of COVID in Canada still. They only have like 3,500 people in their stadium. I think they had a little bit more. They may have bumped it up a little bit. They said there were 3,500, but definitely more than that. But nonetheless, Tampa, just a loaded unit. I'm going to send it to Justin here. Just a loaded unit who is just becoming a dynasty. They already are one. 3 years ago, they got swept by Columbus, and they were President's Trophy winners. They were the top team in the NHL, and they were ready to win their first cup. Well, they won their first cup during COVID. They won another cup now, and there's a lot of talk around, and we'll get into that about the details of why and how they won, shortened season, salary cap. But Justin, what are your thoughts on the Lightning winning the Stanley Cup?
It's undeniable. They are the best team in hockey. There's no debating that. Like I said to a couple of my friends earlier, it's so easy to win when you're 18 million over the salary cap. And I know that, they're just playing within the rules. They're playing the hand that they're dealt. Like every team should take advantage of that playoff rule where they could stash an injured guy and not have to count against the cap for the playoffs. And Nikita Kucherov had the 18 million over the cap shirt today. I saw when he was on the boat, just partying out. But yeah, as much as I want to discount last year's cup for being a Mickey Mouse Stanley Cup, and this one, I'm still trying to rationalize how I can figure out how it doesn't count just because I don't like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, it's just, it makes me sad that they're probably going to win it again next year.
They're loaded. I mean, the team's going to break up. It has to happen at some point. But again, players will take less to play in Tampa. We talked about this before because of tax reasons. There's no state income tax in the state of Florida. So you can sign a big ticket to play in Montreal, or a big ticket to play for the Rangers, or a big ticket to go play for the LA Kings. But that's getting hammered with taxes compared to Florida. So you can take less and make the same amount of money, which helps against the cap. So the tax plays a huge role in it. My thought on the cap thing, again, this is for my buddy Connor. Shout out to Connor. He heard this and said it to me. We were talking about the Lightning winning and people complaining about the cap situation. How many teams would still be a number 2 seed missing their 2 best players?
I mean, that's a great point. Their whole roster, top to bottom, it's so much better than everybody else's.
So to me, that's a drop the mic. They play within the rules. Yes, it is frustrating. I'm a Flyers fan. I'm a fan of the NHL, just like you are, Justin. Obviously, you're a Caps fan and fan of the NHL, but they're world class. And really, the final was against the Islanders. It shows how good the Islanders were. Credit to them. They don't have many superstars. You probably can't name anybody on the team other than Barzell and Barry Trotz, the head coach. But other than that, it's just a bunch of guys playing really hard and in that system. So credit to the Islanders. I think that's something that's not talked about enough. The Lightning are absolutely loaded. They have the best goalie in the world. They have a ton of scoring. The cap situation doesn't bother me much. Credit to Tampa. I talked about this before. I think I have on the podcast. When I was in the XFL and COVID hit and it shut down, Tom Brady came to town, right? And that couldn't be celebrated for that city, right? That's a big deal. The XFL, we were pulling about 25, 30,000 fans. It felt like some games we had more than others, but there's a lot of people in seats. All that spring training got canceled. March Madness was supposed to be there. The Elite Eight, that got canceled. The Rays went to the finals, the World Series. No one could be at any of those games. The Lightning won the World Series. Nobody could be at any of those games. What'd I say? Stanley Cup. Sorry. There's so many different things going on this time of year. I get Copa Cup, Euro Cup, Stanley Cup, World Series that we're halfway through, All-Star break. NBA, right?
Yep.
Championships. Suns are up 1-0. Going to try to be 2-0 tonight. We're recording Sunday night. So, so Tampa, that city lost a ton. So I'm a fan of that city because I got to play and so many great people. I love Tampa. So I'm happy for that city. They get to celebrate for that economy. They get that boost of a team that does it, because that COVID year, they took a massive, massive hit. And I'm sure there's things I'm forgetting as well. So a lot going on in the world of sports. I don't want to forget about our friends at Cape May Brewing Company. Nothing goes better with a cold beer in sports. And honestly, the holidays in the summer, the best with a cold Cape May Brewing Company. I had an Orange Crush beer the other day. For those that are Maryland, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware folks, I know what an Orange Crush is. Unbelievable. It's an Orange Crush in a beer. I had the Grapefruit Crush in a beer. It's a little higher octane beer, which is good. So delicious, fine product. Cape May, New Jersey, an easy place to access off the Parkway, right off Route 9, Cape May Airport. You know it, one of the top breweries in the state of New Jersey. Not by us here. That's just fact. They support the Coast Guard in Cape May. That's a huge thing for us. It's a Coast Guard community. You enter the Coast Guard, you start in Cape May, New Jersey. So they're awesome beer. They're philanthropists. They have a great boutique, which is their little store where you can buy apparel, you can buy beer, and an awesome bar. And then now they got the huge, almost like beer dog park out there. So go check them out at Cape May Brewing Company. Check out their social media. Their cans are awesome design. They do a great job. So we're so lucky to have you guys a part of our team here at Not For Long Media. Check them out. Cape May Brewing Company. You can buy it in the eastern part of Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey and Delaware. So did anybody watch the McGregor fight, guys? I, like some people, got it. I just saw Joe Rogan on the ground, interviewing McGregor. But that's all I saw.
Yeah, I did. I love big time UFC fights, and McGregor's the biggest draw in all of combat sports. There's like you love him, you hate him, no matter what your opinion is of the guy. I think he's fantastic. I will watch anything that man does. I watched the boxing match with Floyd Mayweather. I watched most of his big time primetime fights. It's just like this the spectacle of it all. The stars were out. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia cast was there. Former President Trump was there. Like all Baker Mayfield, QB1 for the Cleveland Browns, sitting right there, ringside or cage side or whatever you want to call it.
A who's who type situation.
Oh yeah, it's Colin. We'll get you there someday. I want to see you, cage side, sitting next to Odell Beckham or something at one of these.
Oh, I want you guys there with me, man. This is like, listen, Joe Rogan's there. We should be there. We're on his platform, right?
Yeah,
I'll be happy with the Flyers game before, and then we can go to MMA. You guys want?
We'll start small. We'll start at the Flyers, and then we'll go to like Vegas to go to a primetime fight.
Well, before we get into McGregor, and I have some questions. You want to talk about intense branding? You want to talk about intense company? The few will hunt. We are so lucky to have them a part of our team here, Not For Long Media. We're a diverse global community that is made up of real people doing real hard work for real impact. We empower each other to uncap our human potential daily. We believe the best things in life are earned and not given. Few will hunt. Check them out. They pair with a bunch of UFC athletes. I'll be honest with you guys, it's a badass company. Awesome stuff. I'm hanging one of their banners in my locker this year. They have great designs, t-shirts, workout gear, tape, banners. What else they have? There's so much cool accessories, boxing gloves, cool stickers in the world. There's a lot of little motivational stuff that I like and grasp onto. And that's why we're really excited to have Few Will Hunt here pairing with us. You like UFC, you like fighting, you like intensity, you like training. The Few Will Hunt. Awesome company we're glad to pair with. So Conor McGregor, let's talk about him a little bit. I mean, one of the best athletes on earth. He's a spectacle. Like, he just brings eyes. He brings social media clips. He brings the whiskey commercials, proper 12, no free ads. He brings just the juice. He is the when will he disappear? Right? It's only a matter of time. Will he ever disappear? Is he a Mike Tyson that will live forever? Esty, what's in Mexico? How's McGregor viewed?
I mean, I would say that UFC has grown since McGregor started fighting. I agree with Justin. He was saying that McGregor is just a character that carries with a lot of people with him. I mean, if there was any other fighter fighting yesterday, you wouldn't see that many like pop star artists watching the fight. And but since it was McGregor and all the things that go around with him off the ring, like him being notorious and this swaggy way of him being I don't know, the character he is and how the star, and then all of a sudden just him spreading his ankle yesterday and the fight just ending that way, with all the things that were going on around this. I would say that it just it's interesting to see how a person like that can carry with all these like tendencies around him.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to give a little context for maybe some people that don't know what we're talking about, it was McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the Raging Cajun or whatever his nickname is. He's down there from, I think he's a Louisiana guy. So this is their third match. So Conor won the first match and then Poirier won the second. So this was the trilogy as they were billing it. And it only lasted one round, TKO. McGregor just absolutely shattered his ankle, leg. It was very similar to the Dak Prescott where you just watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, it was painful to watch. And yeah, you just slumped over and Joe Rogan came over and did the little post-game interview or whatever. And he sat next to him just like a disappointed dad. And McGregor was still hurling insults as his leg is bent like 10 different directions. It was something, but you're right. He is the notorious. He is the biggest draw in combat sports. But the big question is that, do you think it's going to continue? He's going to be 33. That leg is completely jacked up. And a lot of people are thinking that he doesn't really have the kind of, draw or clout or, he's on the downslope. What do you think?
I don't think he is. I think physically he is, obviously, right? But I just think that his name is so big now. He's cemented. He's cemented as someone who is the lady that was a fighter a few years, Ronda Rousey, right? Like Ronda's fallen off, but she's chose to really fall off. Like she did lose, but like that's okay. That's what fighting's for. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get hit in the mouth and lose when you're better than the other person. So like Ronda, she was in some movies and stuff like that. Now she has a family and she's kind of checked out. Conor McGregor doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. I mean, he carries that Ireland flag around like he runs the show there, and he does socially, right? He's got the proper 12 whiskey. He's got the whole vibe going. He's got the swagger walk. Like Esty said, he's got the it. And UFC, they can't afford to lose him.
No, I mean, I know that. Sorry, Colin, but
no, go.
I would say that I personally don't know McGregor. You know, I've never spoke with him before, but I would say that this is one of those guys that needs to have like the audience talking about him. Like Justin said, you either love him or hate him. And I would say that this is one of those guys that is just addicted to that feeling, you know, to be there in the mouth of everybody and everybody talking about him. So I would say that that's why he cannot just go away from UFC, even though he's going down in his career. Because I would say that, first of all, from a money-wise standpoint, he cannot afford to stop earning the money he's making. And then second of all, just the social aspect of it and all the crowd of the people that follows him. I don't think he just it's going to shout out the light and just go away that simple.
Well, I think the relevancy thing is what really is coming into play here, because he's not like I think the draw is still there. People still want to watch him. It was a very pro Conor crowd at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. But I think when you look at his fighting record, I think in his last 4 fights, he's only won 1. He got demolished by Khabib in the big one. He lost to Poirier in the Poirier 2. He lost to Poirier in Poirier 3. Like his fighting is like, that might be what is really going to be taking a hit here, because like, he's just, I don't know. He doesn't have that same kind of energy he had in his 20s. He's in his early 30s and he's just losing every fight.
Maybe he like comes back like WWE and he like becomes, he runs he's like him and Joe Rogan, like run the show where like literally him and Joe Rogan are bigger than the entire UFC. I think. I mean, Joe's got the #1 podcast in the world. The podcast forums are massive. And then McGregor is the #1 fighter ever in that world, in that, at least entertainment wise. So it could be interesting to see. Maybe he comes out of retirement. He's doing the Mike show, WWE type thing. And then he comes out and fights a guy. Who knows? But I guarantee you they're going to do everything in their power to keep him in this thing, because he carries the torch. Like you said, those entertainers are not there, right? Like it's almost like the finals without LeBron. People dog LeBron, but that man makes the finals every single year. Just about. And he carries a torch for the NBA ratings. So those guys that are in the finals can thank their salaries because of LeBron. Sure, the game would be still big without him, but those ratings because of LeBron, Tom Brady, these huge names, like massive, where like wives and kids are saying, turn the game on. You know, get people that aren't notoriously watching the game are dialed in for these big brands, these big names, and brands carry anything, right? Look at NFL schedules. Look at the big brands that are playing. Don't let them fool you. The big brands are going to take the biggest games, even if you're the best team from a small market, like a Kansas City. Now they're going to play because they have one of the best players in the league. But I'm getting off course, but you guys get my drift. That brands are everything. I want to talk about a brand in Shots and Giggles, the local bar in Key West, Florida. Unbelievable courtyard. You can walk right up to the window if it's busy inside. Ring the bell, they'll serve you a drink. Or if you want to get a drink to go, yes, Key West, you can walk around with the drink in your hand. So it's right off Duval Street, Ann Street, right behind the famous bar there, Sloppy Joe's. It's a local bar in Key West. They got a great front porch. It's almost got a Louisiana, fun Florida feel to it. It's a small little 8-seat bar, great little wine room. You could buy beer to go in there. So check them out. Tell Steven Hanya that we sent you a Not For Long Media. Shots and Giggles. Check out their website. Check out their Facebook page. You can stay tuned with all their specials. Unbelievable specials on Tuesdays. 2 for $1 Tito's. Can't beat that if you're a Tito's drinker. So Shots and Giggles. Check them out. Ann Street, right off Duval Street, right behind Sloppy Joe's, the famous bar in Key West. Shots and Giggles. Well, that does it, guys. We have the best of episode coming up. I'm going to run through that order real quick for everybody to take a listen. So episode 10 was our best of last time. Episode 21 will be our best of this time. So you're going to hear Ben Fowler first, Benny Fowler, Super Bowl champion first. And you're going to hear Ryan Bates, Buffalo Bills offensive line. We went to high school together, played on the same high school team. Then you're going to hear Colin Gillespie, Villanova basketball All-American. We went to high school together. His father was one of my football coaches, which is really cool. Leslie Goodell, Philadelphia sports caster, journalist, entrepreneur, nonprofit founder. Unbelievable stories about just her travels being a sportscaster. Ryan Kelly, director of football operations for the American Athletic Conference, a dear friend. Really excited that Ryan came on and shared some fun stories. You get to see the behind the scenes of what it takes to run a whole conference, not just a team. Danny Seo, Emmy winning lifestyle expert, a little bit different. He talked about what it takes to be successful. He talked about his passions. He talked about getting on Oprah show when he was 18, 19 years old. Really fun stuff with Danny Seo. Thank you for coming on, Dan. Ben Troop, Florida Gator, NFL veteran. We had some great talks about Kyle Pitts. We had some great talks about Gator football history, SEC football history. He's an ESPN radio host. He's a philanthropist, an overall great man. He's been an unbelievable ambassador for our program at Not For Long Media. Thank you so much, Ben. And we had the big little man himself, Christian McCaffrey, come on. Carolina Panthers all-pro running back. Been awesome to be able to establish a personal relationship with him. Really looking forward to blocking for him this year and playing with him this year. He's a great teammate, a great leader, a great person, another philanthropist. That's the cool thing about our group here. Everybody's donating their time and money from the people that we've had on, which is really cool. And then episode 19, we had Tom McCarthy, Phillies broadcaster. I was able to meet Tom when I was with the Bears, and he was covering the game for CBS the day before Christmas. Really cool. I ran up the steps when he was talking to the quarterbacks, and they're like, who the heck's this practice squad player in here? And I introduced myself to Tom. Obviously a Phillies fan of his voice, followed him forever, but be able to meet him in person. We're actually going to grab drinks this week at Cape May Brewing Company, which I'm really excited to do. Shout out to Cape May Brewing Company. Shout out to Tom McCarthy for coming on. You guys are really going to enjoy Tom's insight of really calling the game from the booth, from March Madness to NFL to being the Phillies day-to-day broadcaster. And then our friend Malcolm Reed, episode 20. We had a lot of fun with this one, a little bit different. People texting me, my mouth is watering while I'm driving to work at 6 a.m. You know, you got to stop doing this to me. I got to pull over and get a bite to eat because I'm listening to Malcolm Reed. Then I'm getting texts this weekend from people that are barbecuing and grilling out, and they're tagging me and they're tagging Malcolm, which is so cool, guys. That's why I really love doing this stuff. You know, yeah, sure. We're trying to make it fun. We're trying to make it a business. We're trying to do a lot of different things and grow this brand. But at the end of the day, people saying that I really enjoy what you guys do. And that's because of our team here at Not For Long Media. And that's the best of episode. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Esty. Shout out to AB, Autumn. Shout out to Dion. We have an unbelievable team that make this thing tick. I'm just the interview guy trying to make it all work. But seriously, all these ideas, all this creativity, we're really lucky to have a great team. I thank you guys so much. We're really lucky to have awesome sponsors. None of this is possible without you guys. Wealth Advisory Services, Few Will Hunt, Shots and Giggles, Cape May Brewing Company, and the original Fudge Kitchen. Again, thank you so much. None of this was possible without you. So this will do it for us. Episode 21, the best of. You're going to be getting episode 11 through episode 20. And then give us some time to load some interviews up. I have a big week ahead, interviewing a bunch of really cool people. That's going to take us all the way through training camp and into the early part of the season. So thank you everyone for your support. Thank you everyone for following, subscribing, and rating. And we look forward to a fun best of episode.